Today we're going to talk about the different parts of the sewing machine. You will have already gone through the paper version of naming and defining what each part does. This is the Eversewn Sparrow 20. This is a classroom machine. This is what you will be using when you are sewing in my class. I'm going to just go over the basic parts that you will need to know for classroom use. So when I say presser foot, you'll know what I'm talking about. What I'd like to do is start at the top of the machine. And in looking at the top of the machine, I'm hanging onto the handle. The handle is a way to carry this machine. This here, this is the spool horizontal pin. That's where you're going to put the spool of thread. Don't need to worry about the tension because it's set where it needs to be. And on the top of the machine, you'll see some dash lines and some solid lines. The solid lines are what you use to thread the machine to sew. The dash lines are what you use to thread the machine to fill the bobbin. And then you go ahead when you're doing the threading the machine, you're putting the spool on this horizontal pin and you put it through all the thread guides. Now, here's this here is called the hand wheel. This little wheel on the side, this is how you can move the machine or the needle up and down by hand if you're not using the foot pedal. We have different parts of the thread guide. And then down here, we have the needle that the thread goes through. This here is the presser foot. It goes up and down. It holds the fabric onto the little teeth called feed dogs so that the machine can pull the fabric through while it is sewing. This depression here, this is called the bobbin case. Once the bobbin is in the machine and you've threaded it, you put the cover on and then it sews. This is called an accessory box. There's nothing in there. It's just normally to hold extra parts of the machine that you need. This is a reverse stitch button. When you are sewing, most of the time you have to lock your thread. And when you lock your thread so it doesn't come undone, you do a few stitches of a reverse or back stitch. This is a needle up down. So if you're sewing and you stop, you want your needle in your fabric so that it doesn't come loose or move position. This is the speed guide, speed lever. The small dot is turtle pace. The big dot is racetrack's pace. I always encourage and require, especially new sewers, to start at the slow speed. This button right here, I call it the button of death. It's a button that automatically starts and stops the machine. It's not using the foot pedal, but it allows the machine to start or stop. I don't let students use it because if your hand is in the wrong position, you could sew your hand. So we don't want that, all right? So we don't use this. I can't disengage it. We just don't use it. That's why I call it the button of death. When you are sewing, this is the pattern indication window. When you are sewing in my class, it's always at 01. That's a straight stitch, and it stitches at 2.5, 2.5. There are different stitch widths. 2.5 is a perfect width for what we're doing. This is called a bobbin spindle. This helps you load the bobbin with thread. Down here, this is a pattern indication plate. Different patterns that you can use. Once you get sewing, then you can go ahead and talk to me about maybe using different patterns for your machine or for your project. And that's, oh, on the side, we have the start on-off button. And then we have a power cord. And we have a foot pedal. Those are how I require that you use this machine, how you get it to go, how you get it to sew. And beyond that, if you have any questions, please let me know.